This is the SV28 spotting scope. Thank you for watching. Hello everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Peace, Love, and Guns. My name is Will, and today we're taking a look at the SV28 by SVBONY, or I think that's how you pronounce it as far as I can tell. Just for complete transparency, I was approached by the people at SVBONY to do a review of this device, and as I do with anybody that has asked me to review things on my channel before, I always make sure that they're 100% aware that I only do truly fair and honest, unbiased reviews. Now, between you and I, it's very difficult to be completely unbiased when somebody's giving you something for free. That said, I think that my audience appreciates when somebody is honest with them, and I think that it benefits not only the consumer, but the company that is sending me the products if I provide fair critiques where they are required. I think that that results in less buyer's remorse, less returns, less support, and ultimately higher profitability for that company and higher satisfaction for the consumer. With that said, I made sure to tell this to the nice people. I spoke with Lee Hong Lee with SVBONY, and they agreed to send me an SV28 spotting scope under those circumstances. This is a value-priced spotting scope at about $49.99 current price with eBay, and I believe they also sell this on Amazon. Is it a value purchase at that price? Well, we're gonna find out. So let's get into the details of the SV28 spotting scope. This is how you'll receive the SVBONY. It comes in a box, and we will open said box to find instructions, a case which is made out of nylon. It is lined with kind of a faux fur lining on the inside. You get your scope, your caps, which do fall off, your stand, and of course a lens cloth. It's also maybe worth noting that the bottom is, I guess, intended to be semi-rigid, so they put this other layer of faux fur with like a foam backing on the inside of it, folded over and stitched, and then it's got some Velcro there to hold it onto the bottom of the bag. It all fits pretty nicely into said bag. There's the eyepiece coming off and your owner's manual. The SV28 is a 25-75 power or magnification optic with a 70mm objective lens up at the front. Typically, the big objective lens at the front results in greater light gathering and a more optically clear and brighter image. You have an eyepiece where you adjust the magnification. It's clearly labeled from 25 power to 75 power. It does come with an eyepiece cover. The focus adjustment is here. It has a rather fine adjustment. It takes 4.5 full revolutions in order to fully go from one edge of the extreme to the other. And it comes with a objective lens cover. Now, my first criticism of this is the pieces don't particularly lock in very well, and they seem to want to fall off. You pull it out of the bag and then they seem to come off. They don't stick on there very well. So what I'd like to see perhaps is the detents on here kind of be pushed out, and in my own personal use, I think I will attempt that now and just push these plastic lips out and see if that retains a little bit better. On the back, it's just a smooth cap. It's a larger diameter than the eyepiece, and it doesn't lock in or friction lock on any level. It would be more akin to like some kind of dust cover, just to keep dust from collecting on that lens. I'd like to see that have a little bit more positive retention, because you know, when you go and you're pulling it out of your range bag or whatnot, you don't want to lose your caps and have them drop in the dust and whatnot. I guess it is nice that they throw those in there for you, and they do protect against dust, at least in a static configuration. Now, what I was really excited about with this was the stand. It uses a standard 1/4 inch thread, which is what pretty much all optical devices, telescopes, spotting scopes, and cameras use is a 1/4 inch thread there. I was really excited to get this little tripod because I don't have a tripod of this size, and I figured even if this was junk, I could use this for my camera, and I can do that. But in my experience with this so far, my biggest complaint is about this tripod. Now, it is kind of a bonus for this. What we really care about is the optic here, but this is part of the greater package. When I first got this out of the box, I said, wow, this is pretty robust. These legs don't flop around. They're on there good and snug. They've kind of got this rough textured, powder-coated black finish. And it looks all for the world like a good, rugged, simple stand. That said, the first thing that happened when I got this out of the packaging was I was trying to adjust it laterally. It looks as though it can pivot along this central axis and move the scope like this. It actually can. It's just that this handle, which controls the tension for the up and down, also controls the tension for the left and right. That said, you have to get it really loose to move it left and right. I've made it loose enough to go up and down, and then when I went to move it left and right, the first thing happened was this arm bent. It looks like a piece of stainless steel rod, but it is definitely not stainless steel. It is a lower quality piece of metal here, and this thing bent significantly. So that was a little bit unfortunate. It made me kind of sad about this tripod because that is kind of a weak point in the design. With this amount of tension, I can still very smoothly move up and down and adjust that angle of attack. But you cannot pivot this around. So if you have this adjusted and you think I can adjust it up and down, I should be able to adjust it left and right. Well, the way that the leverage works, it is easy to push it this way, but not so much this way. And what happened was it bent, and it bends very easily. So I do not recommend doing that with yours. Now, for $49.99, is this a good purchase? You would have to kind of look at pricing out and comparing other value-priced spotting scopes. $49.99 for a 70mm objective is a cheap price. I know that if you go with like a Nikon, you're going to be easily over $150, $200, $300. Swarovski, you're looking at $3,000 for a spotting scope like this. Do they compare? Probably not. One way you can test to see what your scope is doing as far as optical clarity is you can shine a bright light into the objective and then hold like a white piece of paper or a postcard and see how that light reconverges where your eye would be at that eye relief level. And what you want to see is a fine point or a fine circle of bright white light and less of a prismatic effect where it splits it into different colors. So light is made up of red, blue, and green wavelengths, and what we want to see is if you shine a white light into one end, we want to see that that light reconverges to a white dot. If it splits up into a prism like the Pink Floyd album with the light going in and the rainbow coming out, that would be the refractive index of the material. That is, the actual crystalline structure of the material is causing the light to internally reflect. It's called refraction, and it's bending the light in different directions, and it gives you a prismatic effect. And what this looks like when you actually look through a scope is at longer distances, brighter days, in different environmental conditions, what you can see is a sort of ghosting. I believe that they call that a chromatic aberration. So aberration like a ghost. So you get this chromatic aberration and it makes your picture less clear, makes it harder to read text at distance and see fine details. So you want that light to converge as it's supposed to and not split up. So that is one test you can do on any optic and to see if it more or less competes with one of the more higher priced precision optics. I imagine that this one will not, but we can try that later. Another thing is, does it have the eye relief, magnification, and field of view that they advertise? Without getting into some nitty-gritty math, which honestly I'm not willing to do, it'd be difficult for me to say whether or not this fits those criteria if they advertise accurately. From what I see, it does do 25 to 75 power. You start off with an object that appears pretty far away looking through the scope. You crank up the magnification, and that item looks larger in relation to what you normally see. The way that magnification works is you see an item at distance, an object at distance, and it appears a relative size to your field of view. If you look through the 25 power setting, relative to where it looks naturally, it should look 25 times larger through the eyepiece. As we go up through the magnification, it should look 75 times larger. That's the way the objective lens works on this. So what you noticed about eye relief is at 25 power, your eye relief is a little bit closer and is a little bit easier to find. There's a kind of a bigger window there. At 75 power, the eye relief is a little bit more difficult to find and is a little bit more ambiguous, that is. That said, it does appear to give you a genuine 25 to 75 power magnification without getting too into the weeds with the math on calculating that, the field of view, and the like. Now, in the course of filming for this review, I did notice that the eyepiece is kind of manufactured to be kind of this long sunshade style, where you want to get your eye close to the actual lens in order to get a good field of view, especially at lower magnifications. The length of this is nice for a really bright environment, but it is a hindrance because you feel like you're pushing your eye directly up against this. So what you do is you typically fold the eyepiece rubber back, and in doing so I realized the eyepiece rubber does not want to stay back when you do that. So that's a little bit of a missed opportunity there. But then I found that it just comes right off, which is good because I want to get my eye close to this for the review and to show with the camera what you're actually seeing through this objective. But that said, this appears to be just glued down with some kind of rubber cement, and it kind of pops right off. There's no real detent on the inside of that to hold that on this rim, but that's just a finer point there that the eyepiece rubber kind of comes off pretty easily. Okay, we are now looking through the eyepiece. This is recording through the eyepiece with a iPhone 12 mini, and you'll notice the jitter. That's me holding the camera not super steady, but I have it focused on the lock there with that 24-hour security thing. But I have that focused there just to show that we are zoomed in on something with a fine text on it that appears to be something to the effect of 50 feet away. And at 25 magnification, there is a little bit of play in where you can have your eye. Now, as we zoom in, I'm going to have to adjust pretty considerably. Okay, so I feel like I figured out the eye relief a little bit with the camera, and now I'm going to change the zoom on the actual device. And there, with approximately 5 or 10 degrees of turn on the focus knob, I have refocused the image. There we are. So is the SVBONY SV28 worth $49.99? I would say that if you need a spotting scope and you want something that's going to be a heirloom grade optic with 100% optically clear glass with no chromatic aberration whatsoever and very clearly defined field of view, magnification, and everything as advertised, you should probably go buy a Swarovski for $1,500. If you need something that is just going to get you to the range and back and allow you to sight in your deer scope at 100, 200, 300 yards or whatever the case may be, something like this might be up your alley. If you're going to scale a shooting range, for example, there's an outdoor shooting range near where I live. They've got little spotting scopes set on all of the stands, and it's so difficult to use them because they're not particularly good, but they are robust and they seem to be weatherproof, but they don't offer a lot as far as magnification and focus. You know, they've got them chained down to the bench and whatnot. Now, those things have weathered the test of time and they still work like day one. Do I think that something like this could function in that role where you're trying to outfit 20 lanes and keep them in the elements? I don't think that this is something that I would do that with. I don't know that this is going to hold up to the elements, the seals. Is this nitrogen filled? Is it going to have water ingress and fog in really extreme environments? I suspect not, and I wouldn't use it as such. This isn't something that I would abuse. Is it something that is going to be a value purchase for a price-conscious person that wants to be able to magnify an image that is 100 yards away and make that appear 75 times larger to them? Well, I think that that's where this could succeed. Okay, and I think that concludes our review of the SVBONY SV28 spotting scope. If you like this video, do make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share all of those wonderful things down below. If you want to see more fair, unbiased reviews, obviously make sure to comment and something or another. The people at SVBONY also manufacture a eyepiece which has a CMOS camera sensor on the inside of it and a USB connection and I guess a power connection, and you plug that into a telescope and it will allow you to do digital recordings or astrophotography, and I do have interest in reviewing that. It's worth noting that I mentioned my interest in that product when they contacted me about this one, and SVBONY did mention that they will be happy to send me one pending my review of this product. So we'll see what they think about my review of this product and if I pass the test and can review the product of theirs that I am very interested in. We'll see. When you do fair and honest reviews like this, sometimes you can get under the manufacturer's skin a little bit, and there's a tendency to be to hold your tongue when something deserves criticism. I hope that I have not done that, and that is how that appears to my audience, you the viewer. And if you appreciate this sort of thing and you want to help the project grow, we do also have a Patreon. If you're in a place to do so and you want to help, please do feel free to click the link to go to Patreon and support the channel directly. Otherwise, I want to thank you all for watching. Do make sure to treat yourself well, love your neighbor, and stay safe out there, guys.